Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men for Laredo. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know with Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
Back at you in Gloves Off, and today I have a great guest, Vanessa Perez, who's running for Laredo City Council District 7. Good morning, how are we doing?
Good morning, I'm good.
Thank you for standing up and putting your name on that little dotted line. We're going to talk a little bit about it. We've talked about your campaign before.
Right.
But how's your campaign going now? It's been a month that you've been involved already in this. And so how do you see the campaign going?
Well, my campaign's going great. I'm new to politics, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. But, we're out, we're meeting the people, talking to people. People have been very receptive. I'll kind of say, at first I wasn't taking too many pictures, and so I always get criticized for not taking enough pictures, and so I started, I'm going to take a few more pictures, like, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there, and, people come out and, we'll pull up in the truck and they'll start honking, and we'll be there with signs and they'll be honking. So I think people are starting to recognize me, that I'm out and about and other areas all over the district, and so that's, I want people to know that I'm looking for problems and I'm out there and I'm part of your community also. I'm not just in my one vicinity neighborhood. I'm out because, as a council person, I need to represent everybody. So it would be my job to be more visible and be out there. And so I'm kind of starting that now already.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people do not understand that when you get elected for city council, regardless of the district that you're in, you represent Laredo.
True. Very true.
Okay, and you represent the whole Laredo. So there's going to be things and companies that come down, especially manufacturing companies. They might not be in your district, but they might be in the South District, and you might say, I have to vote for that because I want the betterment of Laredo.
Exactly.
And I think that's where people get confused, But what are the main concerns that you've heard and people asking you, this is what we're concerned about? What is it?
A lot of people are concerned with code enforcement, and it's an issue that we've had. We noticed it, more on the industrial side, but I guess I hadn't realized that it was so prevalent in the residential side. And District 7 is so big that I want to make sure that we have more than just one code enforcement officer, because right now we only have one. So I'd like to bring another one that, could focus more on the residential code enforcement, and then have one that focuses more on the industrial code enforcement. That way we can, clean up a lot of the issues that the basic services that the residents are concerned with. We can address them, So it's a lot of code enforcement, a lot of drainage issues. There's a lot of parts in the district that when it rains, it floods. And we need to make sure that we have good control for that, because people's homes flood and then they lose possessions and belongings, their vehicles flood and things like that. There's a lot of flooding in our district. We have businesses in our district that are not connected to the sewer and water, and they brought it to my attention. And so I'm not just talking to residents, I'm also talking to business owners. And so we have a lot of areas to address across the spectrum, residential to commercial to business.
You brought out something that's very important, code enforcement. Do you think Laredo's lacking on code enforcement?
Looks like it to me, yes. It looks like there's a lot of hands off. There's things that are not in line, and it's causing issues for residents, and we need to address them. But a lot of people don't call the right, they don't call for people to come out. I guess they accept it or deal with it. And so when I go approach them and I'm talking to them, they'll bring it up like, I really don't like this, or I really don't like that, and so, as a representative, if they don't feel comfortable calling, I guess, 311 or figuring out who to call, if they call your representative and then let your representative take care of it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Besides the traffic issues that hinder basically a great portion of your district, what other things are necessity now that you've seen, now that you've been out and about, and now you see, you know what, we really have to address this? Because before I didn't know this was here, and now that I'm here, we really have to pay attention to these problems.
Well, it goes back to just basic customer service, basic quality of life issues. People, we pay taxes, we want to have good opportunities for our kids. For example, I have a double stroller, and I take my kids when I go out, but there's some sidewalks that don't accommodate that. And then if you're trying to push the stroller, you can't, because there's cars parked on the sidewalk, or there's trash on the sidewalk, or there's things like that. And if I'm seeing it as coming into somebody else's neighborhood, they have to live with that on a daily basis. So they can't say, well, let's go take a walk, because then they have to walk in the street and it's dangerous. Have a lot of cars parked on the side of the streets and in some areas, and it's just, they don't have a lot of recreational opportunities for, hey, let's go to the park, and they don't have a park close by. Let's walk to, let's go on a bike ride, but there's not a safe way for them to ride their bike on the street. There's not designated bike lanes, or there's not enough shade. There's not enough shade for people that ride the bus. They're sitting on these benches, and there's no shade for them. So little things like that that would make a big difference in people's lives, that they can live a happier life in our city, enjoy our city more, instead of saying, well, it's too hot, I'm not going to go out, or no, it's not worth the hassle. We have a lot of dogs roaming around too, which could pose a safety for kids. You're walking your kids, and then a stray dog comes up to you. Things like that, that we kind of need to make sure that people have are able to enjoy the city more. There's parks that are lacking, and then when you do go to the park, some of our parks don't have restrooms, like the Robert Mueller Park. They have porta potties. The Father McNable Park, there's only one restroom. So you hear it a lot, like, well, if we're out there for an hour or two and we need to use the bathroom, then we don't have access to one. And so we need to do a better job as a city of making our facilities more enjoyable for people. Like North Central Park has a nice restroom, and we need to advance the parks in District 7 also.
I think in the whole city in general. I've seen some councilman members that have tackled that. And I've seen some in others that have said, kind of just lax it and it's okay, whatever. But I think it goes back down to the departments itself. If the departments are not coming up and saying, you know what, we need a bathroom over here. I mean, they're Parks and Rec. We need it doesn't fall on the councilman. It falls on the department that's being lazy on their job. We need a park, we need a water fountain here, we need bathrooms here, we need everything else. And if they're not saying that,
right,
then that's where it's at fault. And I think the city of Laredo has some good individuals that want to lead. But they get inside there and they get wrapped up in the commotion that the department heads just say, yeah, we're doing fine. And they say, oh, okay. So they entrust that with them, and then later on they find out that they're not. And then instead of correcting it and let's go forward with it, they get mad and they kind of just like forget the problem. It's just, let's kick it down for the next person that comes in. And that's what we've been doing for a very long time, is kicking the can down the street. And people need to say, you know what, I'm going to pick up the can and I'm going to throw it in the trash can, which is going to fix the problem.
Yes.
And that needs to happen. On another note, what have you seen, because there's a lot of candidates running.
Yes.
And we spoke the last time and you talked about ethics, and you talked about that you had signed the ethics commission form. Explain that.
Well, when you run for office, they give you, some paperwork, and you have to go through it and follow it. And there's this code of fair campaign practices.
Mhm.
So I started looking at it, and it says, you know, you read the election code, because I don't know if people realize that the elections, all of us that are running for office are governed by the election code. And so you have to be aware of these laws that you're held accountable to, and if you violate them, it could be a Class A or a Class C misdemeanor. So it's a serious offense, and there's the fair campaign is just basically saying that you're going to run a fair campaign, you're going to run it ethically, you're not going to participate in you know, unethical behaviors, and it lists it out for you, and it's optional. And I said, well, why is it optional? Like, why don't I just, I'm going to sign it. So when I went to turn it in, they were at City Hall, they were like, oh, people don't usually turn these in. So I was like the first one to turn it in, and I was like curious about that, like why are people not, you know, doing it? And so I called the Ethics Commission, and I asked, I said, is this a common thing that people are not turning these in? Because it says that you can write it on your campaign banner, like subscribes to the Code of Fair Campaign Practices. And they said, well, a lot of people don't turn them in, but I guess it's just because they don't want to adhere to them. So, you know, I think that it's a good way to move forward is for us to just say, you know what, we're going to run a clean campaign, because people don't want to hear us bickering. People
Absolutely.
don't want to hear the fighting, and because it's not about that. It's not about me attacking someone personally. It's not a show. This is a serious job that we're running for, and our focus should be the citizens and making the community better, and not, you know, worried about all the other stuff that comes with it.
You're absolutely correct.
Mhm.
You're absolutely correct. And that's good that you did that. And nobody wants to hear the bickering of everybody else.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to hear candidates going after each other in a demeaning manner.
Right.
It's like you all are actually going out for a job interview, and that job interview is the constituents. They're the ones they're your employers.
Yes.
And what happens is, imagine if you go to sign up and everybody's out in the lobby waiting to get interviewed, and everybody's bickering against each
Yeah.
other. What do you think is going to happen? And you see the quiet person in the back. Well, the quiet person's the one that's going to be told, "Come
Mhm.
forward and let's talk."
Right.
And the rest of them are going to be told, "Well, good luck to you."
Yeah.
And that needs to stop. But it amazes me, and it doesn't surprise me that it has never been filled out before.
Well, when they told me that, I was just like, well, I'm going to turn them in, you know, and kind of, I put it on my Facebook, like, hey, I challenge everyone else to turn it in. And I know a few other people did turn it in, so I was
That's good
happy
for
to see that. I did follow up and say, has anyone else turned them in? And a few candidates did, so, and it's good, you know, we're trying to, a lot of us are new to this, and you know, you see people that have been in politics for a long time who haven't turned them in. And you see people that have run before that are violating, like, some of the things that they're not supposed to be violating with the ethics as far as their signage and things like that. And it's like, you know, if you didn't read the fine print on what you were supposed to do as a candidate, then how can we trust you to read the fine print when you're in office? You know, you have all these negotiations and these contracts, and you're not, you know, crossing your T's and dotting your I's, like you're not making sure that everything is in order. So, you know, to me, it's not a good, it doesn't make you a good candidate if you're not adhering to the policies, even just, not even the optional practices, but even just looking through they give you a 6-page manual, what to do, what not to do, and it says, write this disclaimer, this has to say this, and you don't see them doing it because, you know, I'm out there every day, so I see other people's signs, and I can't help but notice it because, of course, I read the policy. And, you know, it's up to somebody like me, a candidate that's running, to report it, you know, and I don't want to go and call and report somebody else and get them in trouble for a Class A or a Class C misdemeanor. You know, it's just, I don't want to do that because it's not, you know, but they should know.
It's not for you.
And I
it's not
shouldn't
for you to
police
be-
that.
It's not for you to go out there policing it, exactly.
Yeah.
It's for everybody to be the same and move forward. And, well, it happens, you know, people they start off with removing signs and placing others, and start off with that. And,
Well, that's happening too.
you know, it's never-ending story. You know, you run out, you're driving, all of a sudden people has mustache on there with no teeth and horns. I understand those because kids are gonna do that.
Right.
But then you have adults doing it. You're like, okay, well,
Yeah, and then
You
you,
know
see
what I'm
your
saying?
sign and you've got like extra stuff on it that wasn't there before.
it's fun. You have to take it with,
Yeah.
it's banter. It's part of the whole thing, you know. You have to be at ease with it and laugh with it and move forward. Let me tell you this. How do you foresee you going in? God gives you and grants you the blessing and you're going to office.
Mhm.
How do you foresee your first year going in there? What are the first things that you're going to tackle?
Well, I already have a list of things that I've noticed that we need to work on. So my first thing that I would do is wanna maybe write out a 4-year plan, and then an 8-year plan. Kind of what are the things that I'd like to tackle right now, and then what are the things that I'd like to work towards, so that by the end of 4 years or 8 years we can work on. And then if, let's say, I don't get reelected, then the next council person that does get elected can continue. You know, there's a lot of needs that we have that could be tackled right away, and then there's needs that we have that are going to take more investment, more work towards. Like, for example, in the Los Martinez area, I don't know if people realize, but behind all of the warehouse, there's a community back there.
Sure.
And when they're trying to get to work in the morning, the train is there. And they have to go to Lafayette, which is in District 8, to cross over, which it takes time from their morning, something that could be a quick, so some people were saying, well, we'd like a kind of like an overpass over the train on Carlton going that way. So that's not going to be something that's going to happen anytime soon. So I'd want to put that in the long term, like, is this something we can work towards? Is this something we can start putting money towards? How necessary is this? Looking at intersection lights that might be necessary and saying, okay, is this something we can do now? And what do we need to do to get it done? And so I really want to map out all of these issues and then see how we can get started with them. But right away, I'd want to do like easy, quick fixes, like the code enforcement stuff, which we can even start doing now. All of us that are running, I've been calling 311 on issues that I've been noticing. So, and then they can start the paperwork process, because apparently if you have an overgrown lot, it takes like a couple months to get it done, because you have to notify the owner multiple times, and then, so there's process with everything. It's the bureaucracy of it. So I'd like to look at these systems and say, well, it shouldn't be this difficult to get something like this done, and kind of see what I can do to work with the current procedures and see how we can work around them or with them to get things done. So
Absolutely. There's a lot of, in this election, you have way too many people running. Not way too many, but it's good that they're coming. But in other elections, you don't see that many. You see one
Right.
or two. We got, I think there's 40 something people running in all the across the board.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, and it's good though. But what I'm talking about is, it shows and has a feeling. I've been talking to many individuals and conveying with folks that have been around in Laredo for a long time, and basically the community has lost faith in the municipality governing body. They say there's too much nepotism, there's too much cronyism, they say there's too much favoritisms of a lot of things going in there. How do you feel about that?
I think I agree with it. I agree that people do not trust their government right now. There's lack of transparency. There's issues where people are trying to figure out like what exactly is going on, and they don't understand it. Having a 5-6 hour city council meeting, it's really hard for somebody to sit down and watch that whole meeting. So there's a lot of things that if you're not following the whole conversation, you're not going to catch the whole gist of what's going on. And then the way that the policies are written is kind of complicated. So I think people just have a general just distrust for it, or they just don't want to hear about it. But on the flip side of that, I do think it's good that, one of the problems that I've noticed, not even just in government, but in general, is apathy. And so right now, with all these people running, I think it's a good sign that people are letting go of the apathy and starting to say, you know what, I do need to step up. I do need to get more involved. So it could be a combination, but for me, I see it as a positive thing that, hey, look at all these people that are willing to put themselves on the line and say, you know what, I'll help, I'll work on it, I'll do it, I can fix it, I can work on it, I'll do this. And that's, to me, a positive sign is that, a lot of people that I've talked to in the past or during this campaign, as I ask them, well, have you registered to vote? No, I don't vote. I've never voted. I haven't voted. So my campaign has actually registered quite a bit of people to vote. We tell them, I tell them why, this and that. And so, here, fill this out. This is what you need to do. And they actually do, and I feel good that people are getting more involved in the in their governance. And so who knows? Maybe the next race we're going to see more people also, but maybe it's not so much a negative on the government as it is more that people, yes, they feel negative, but at the same time they also are stepping up, and that's a good thing. I see that as a good thing too.
I think it's not too much of a negative. I just think that they say, you know what, let's get this stuff done.
Right. True.
And I think that's more of everything else. I look at it as a positive thing in general.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's wrongs, let's fix it. If there's wrongs by error, let's fix them. Because when we're all human, we all make mistakes.
Right.
There's a difference between making a mistake naturally, and there's a difference that's intentional.
Right.
So, we either or we give them the benefit of the doubt because they have some good. You got great folks that are leading.
Right.
And right now they've been hit with a situation that nobody was ever hit before. So right now, everybody was running scared in the beginning, especially in this crisis.
Right.
And I think now some of them are putting their feet down and saying, okay, let's take this and let's not step back, let's start moving forward. And you can start seeing those individuals now start moving forward. And I think at the end of everything, hopefully everybody can commune together and move to one special drive, which is for the benefit of Laredo.
Right. We need to stop looking at the things that divide us and the reasons not to work together, not to, like each other or whatever. You really don't have to like somebody to work with them. You have to put your differences aside and just say, you know what, we're here to work. We're here to make a difference, to make an improvement, and that's what the citizens want to see. They don't want anything else. And when they start seeing bickering, and it turns them off, and they just say, you know what, I'm not even gonna mess with it. It's too much.
Absolutely. So we're a week away from early vote.
I know.
A week away from early vote. Folks, go out and exercise your right to vote. It's important.
It is. And tomorrow's the deadline to register. Yeah. So if you haven't registered, the elections office is going to be open extra late tomorrow, and you can go downtown and fill in your application and drop it there. I think they're going to be open till 8 p.m. So if you get out of work, just drop it in the box, and that way you'll be eligible to vote.
And believe me, Mr. Day is at the elections office in Webb County Administration's office. He's done an excellent job. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to do an even better job this time come around. He has time to prepare, and it's something that, there's curbside voting. You can go up there and in your car.
Very easy.
It was easy, so there's no excuse.
My kids in the car seat, kids in the car seat. I'm voting. It's easy.
It's awesome, and let's just remember, let's start living to live, not living in fear. And I think that's our motto for this next couple of months. Let's start moving forward. Fist bump, high five if you have to.
Wear your mask.
Always, and just respect everybody in general.
I agree.
Ms. Perez, if somebody wishes to contact you
Mm-hmm.
to help you out in your campaign, how can they do that?
Call me. My number is 956-473-9129, or you can check out my website, www.vanessajperez.com, or find me on Facebook, Vanessa Perez for City Council District 7. I have a page, and that's the best way, and I welcome the help if they want to join me. We have a few weeks left for early voting, and then election day, so want to help me, hold a sign with me, come campaign with me, block walk with me. I would love to have the help if they want to come out.
Awesome. Folks, until next time, peace.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
Hello, how are you? My name is Celestino Marina. I'm running for City Council, District 5, and I would like your support. Together, we will win. Thank you.
Hi Laredo, this is Carlos Perez. I'm running for Laredo College Board of Trustees Place 8. You can follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at CG Perez RLC. I look forward to gaining your support this campaign season and earning your vote November 30. Thank you.
Laredo College needs a leader, an educator with a vision to move forward for a positive change. This is why, as your candidate, I want accessible education, and most importantly, I want to listen to your concerns as a stakeholder, students, faculty, staff, and taxpayers. It's time for education over politics.
Vote Justin Huntsnusher Casiano for Laredo College Board, Place 7.
Hi, I'm Amber Avis Hinojosa, ready to change the direction of District 8. As a resident and business owner in the heart of the community, I know the pressing issues at hand. It's time to realize the potential in this district. Join me in the fight to bring change.
Vote Amber Avis Hinojosa for City Council District 8. The future of our district is in our hands.